We went to the bakery on Mailer Street, but all the shutters were down. There's no sign on the door or anything. It's just closed. Now we're up at the Crounans, but there's nobody home and no cars outside or nothing. Have you tried ringing them on their mobiles? Of course, yeah. But Micky's is switched off and we couldn't get an answer from his missus. What about the bakery staff? They must know why the bakery's closed and where the Crounans are. Well, that's our next plan. But first of all, we have to find out who the staff are and how to get in touch with them. We're going to try asking at the shops next door and some of the other bakers. Somebody at Scoozy's might know. Okay then, keep me in touch. Katie began to leaf through the files that had been left on her desk, but almost at once there was a knock on her open office door, and Inspector Liam Fennessy came in. With his circular spectacles and brush-cut hair and his tweed jacket with leather patches on the elbows, he looked more like a lecturer in English from Cork University than a Garda inspector. We've had a sighting of Roisin Begley, he said. One of her school friends saw her in a car driving along Pope's Quay less than an hour ago. She said that Roisin didn't appear to be distressed at all. In fact, she was laughing. She was sure it was Roisin. 100%. Blonde hair, red and white woolly hat. She says she waved to her, but either Roisin didn't see her or else she didn't want to. Who was with her? Some man. The friend really couldn't describe him because she was too busy trying to catch Roisin's attention. She thought he was wearing a blue tracksuit top because it had the 2 white stripes down the sleeves, but that was all she could remember. At least Roisin's still alive, thank God. I thought we'd be after finding her drowned in the river. But if she was laughing, it sounds like she's run away, and that could make her much more difficult to find. I'll have the press office get in touch with the Begleys and see if they can't put out an appeal on the 6-1 news. You know, please come home, darling. We aren't cross with you at all. And Woofy misses you. Woofy? Asked Inspector Fennessy. Well, you know, whatever they call the family dog. She told him about the wedding cake. He listened, shaking his head. Jesus. That's nearly as bad as that woman in Curraheen, who fried her old fella in lard and fed him to her cats. The technical boys are doing an ultrasound scan, and maybe then we'll be able to see who it is. How do you bake a head in a cake, for the love of God? And why would you? Katie closed the file in front of her and pushed her chair back. The day we can answer questions like that, Liam, that'll be the day that you and me are out of a job. She went home early that afternoon. This would have been her day off if she hadn't had to appear in court. She had planned to go shopping at Hickey's for new curtains and a new living room carpet, but that would have had to wait until the weekend now. She had almost finished redecorating her living room. All the Regency-style wallpaper that her late husband Paul had chosen had been stripped off, and all the gilded furniture had gone. Maybe she would never be able to forget Paul's selfishness, and his unfaithfulness, and his self-pity, and how their marriage had gradually disintegrated, especially after the death of little Seamus. But at least she wouldn't have to live with his idea of luxury decor anymore. She lived on the west side of Cove, overlooking the River Lee, as it widened towards the harbour and the sea. The sun was still glittering on the water as she arrived home, but a chilly wind was rising, and the trees along the roadside were dipping and thrashing as if they were irritated at being blown about. When she turned her focus into her driveway, she saw a man in a long raincoat standing in her porch. He turned around as soon as he heard her and raised his hand in greeting. Perfect timing, he said as she opened her car door. She reached across to the passenger seat for her shopping bag, and then she said, You haven't come to sell me double glazing, have you? He laughed and said, Nothing like that. We've just moved in next door and I came to say hello, that's all. Oh, okay then. Hello. Welcome to Carrick View. Let me just open the door and put down this shopping. Here, he said, and took the bag from her. She unlocked the front door, switched off the alarm, and beckoned him inside. As soon as she opened the kitchen door, her Irish setter, Barney, came bustling out to greet her, wagging his tail. Well now, there's a fine fellow, the man said. And what's your name, boy? That's Barney, said Katie. Oh, just dump the shopping on the table if you don't mind. Thanks, that's grand. The man held out his hand. I'm David O'Cahan, but most people